Hey guys, today you're going to learn how to change the color of this dress using Photoshop. So you can manually change this color to any color you prefer, like green, yellow, red, pink, purple. And if you watch towards the end of the video, you'll also learn some advanced techniques to keep the colors of the bricks right here. So in the original image, you can see that the color of the brick, you can still see it through the dress. And if you watch towards the end of the video, you'll also learn how to do that while also changing the color of the dress. So if you wanted to follow along with this video, I'll leave a link to this image in the description below. And if you also like these types of videos, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps out this channel. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. I come out with videos like this daily. And if you have any questions about any of the steps that we're about to take, then you can comment down below and I'll answer you as soon as I can. And you can also comment down below with any video requests that you have. So if there's a video or a Photoshop technique that you want to learn and you want me to make a video on it, you can comment down below and I'll consider making a video on it. So let's get started. So we're going to start by selecting the dress. So to select the dress, I'm going to use the quick selection tool. So that's on the top left hand corner. If you click and hold right here, there's two options. It's called the magic wand tool and this quick selection tool. So choose the quick selection tool. And what this does is it will just select something that's a similar color to where you clicked. So it's not perfectly accurate, but we can adjust it later on. So if I click here, it's going to first make a circle. So it just gets a sample. So I'm not sure if you can see that circle. There's a little circle there. So it gets a sample of what it's trying to select. So we tell Photoshop we want to select everything that's a similar color to this. So let's zoom out a little bit. And the bigger you make the selection, the more it will select. So I can actually make the selection a bit bigger like this, and the more colors it will choose. So it depends on what kind of images that you're using. And but for me, I'm just going to use this size of a brush. Now I'm just going to keep selecting around, and you can see now it's starting to select other colors now. So if you just click around all the way around, now it's just selected the entire dress. But you can see that it's also selected the arm, which we don't want, and it's also selected parts of the brick. So what we can do is adjust that later on, but we're just going to keep selecting all the way up. So let's go back to the quick selection tool, and I'm going to select her dress, and I'm going to select maybe I want to select that strap on the other side. We're going to select that manually. So what we're going to do right now is make this selection more accurate. So we don't want like any parts of the brick selected and the arm. So what I'm going to do is quickly just rename this layer to original image. So original image. And I'm going to create a new layer by clicking on the new layer icon right here. That's right next to that bin icon. And I'm going to call this layer red guide. So you'll know why I'm calling it red guide soon. So we have this selection here. I'm just going to go to the paint bucket tool, choose a red color. So this can be like a bright red color. It doesn't really matter what type of red, and it could be another color you want as well. I usually use red because it's easier to see. And then I'm going to zoom out. And now I'm going to deselect that selection. So to deselect, you press Ctrl D or Command D if you're on a Mac. And then I'm going to lower the opacity of this red guide layer. So I'm just going to lower it just enough so that we can see what's behind this red guide, which is the original image. So we can see what we've selected, and we can also see what we don't want to be selected. So we don't want the arm to be selected, we don't want the shoe to be selected, or parts of the bricks. So let's unselect this. So the way I'm going to unselect this is just simply by using the eraser tool. So get the eraser tool right here, and I'm going to increase the hardness of the eraser tool to 100%, and you need to make the size of the brush just big enough so it can get into the smaller bits and the bigger bits as well. So I'm just going to make it slightly bigger, and let's start with her arm here. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. So let's, oops, I think I just painted. So let me just choose the eraser tool again. There we go. So I'm just erasing out the red parts, which the red paint that we made, and then we're going to select the red again. So you'll know why I'm doing this soon. So we're just making the selections more accurate. So let's just go all the way in. So what I'm going to do is just speed the video up, and all I'm going to do is just erase whatever is not the model. and then I'll show you how to make this selection, this part of a dress selected, and then I'll show you how to actually select the dress properly in the end. So what I've done here is I accidentally erased a bit too much from her arm right here. So what I'm going to do is just take the paintbrush tool. So if you make a mistake like this, take the paintbrush tool, then you just need to paint over what you erased out. So you need to get that selection back again. So just around there, I erased a bit too much of her arm, of the dress right here. So then you just take the eraser tool again, and then you just keep erasing. So I'm not quite done here yet, so I'm going to still speed up the video a little bit more. So also what I'm going to do, because this part is a bit more tricky because the arm just kind of fades into the dress. So what I might do is I'm going to take the paintbrush tool and I'm going to decrease the hardness right here. And what that's going to do is just going to slightly feather in, so you see what I mean. So you can see it's not a hard edge there. So it just kind of fades into the dress there. So it's not a hard selection. So I think we can just do that right here. Instead of like a hard edge, it actually gives it a better effect. So we want to get rid of all those hard edges right there. So that's actually a way more accurate of a selection right there. There we go, that's much better. And you can also do this just around these edges as well. So you can decrease the hardness, the hardness just a little bit. Then you can just kind of get those little edges here and there. So you might not be able to notice it, but when you zoom in a little bit more, you can notice it a little bit more here. Oops, that's a bit too much of a zoom. Zoom out a little bit. And let me just choose the brush again. So if you don't want the selection to be too harsh like that, then you can get that. So that's, if you zoom out now, that's a much better selection of the arm right here. So let's also do these bits here. So I still need to accurately select these bits and also the dress over there as well. To select this part right here, all I'm going to do is just choose the paintbrush tool. Make sure we have that same red color before, and just decrease the brush size a little bit so we can kind of get into these tiny spots right here. And I'm just going to draw right over it. So you can zoom in a little bit if it's not accurate enough. So you just simply paint over it. So we're not exactly selecting this, we're just kind of painting over it, and then we're going to select the red guide layer soon. So let's just get this bit. So let's increase the brush size a little bit. There we go. So that looks good. So this is what the red guide layer looks like now. So it's just an accurate selection of the dress. So now I'm just going to increase the opacity of the red guide layer to 100%. And I'm going to press Control or Command if you're on a Mac and click on that little box in the red guide layer. And what that does is it will just select everything in that layer. So everything in that layer is just the red paint that we just painted over the dress. So we have just an accurate selection of just the dress now. So I'm just going to hide the red guide layer by clicking on that little eye icon. That's how you hide layers. So if you just click on that, it's all hidden. So now let's zoom out. So we have a selection of just the dress. So now this is the fun part where we actually start changing the colors and the brightness and the lighting and all of that. So if you come to the bottom right hand corner, there's this little circle right here. And if you click on it, there's all of these options on how to change colors in different ways. What we're going to use in today's video is just the solid color and brightness and contrast. If you want to learn about all of these other options here, I'll leave another video, link is in the description below, where I show you how to change colors using all of these options right here. So first, I'm just going to start with brightness and contrast. And when I click on this, it's only going to change the brightness and contrast of just the selection that we have here. So the selection that we have here is just the dress. So that's the only thing that we want to change. So when I click on that, you won't notice any difference yet. But when you start playing with this graph right here, you'll see this graph come up when you click on it. And when I increase the brightness, you can see the dress the brightness on the dress increasing. When I increase the contrast, you can see the color changing there, but that's still only black and white. So this is just to play with the contrast and the brightness, not to change the color. That's what we're going to do right here with this layer. Next, I'm going to choose the same selection. So hold Control or Command if you're on a Mac and click on the red guide tool again. So that's the selection of the dress again. And go back to that same color options right here. And let's choose solid color. And let's just start with a blue dress. So let's make the dress blue. And I'm going to click on OK. And so this is called color fill right here. So if I choose, if you choose right here under the where it says normal, you can click on that and choose different effects on the dress. So I'm going to choose color or hue. So one of these two will work really well. So let's just start with color first. So you can see it's a really bright blue dress now. So you can decrease the brightness by going into the brightness and contrast layer, and you can decrease the brightness a little bit now. So it kind of fits into the image a little bit more. You can also decrease the contrast, or you can increase the contrast, so it's like a dark blue dress. So already we have like a nice accurate looking dress on our subject. But you can also see some of the selections. We didn't really do that properly. So what we can do is just play around with the brightness and contrast layers right here, and we can kind of get rid of that. So what we can do now is I can click both of these layers. So to select two layers at the same time, just click on one layer and then hold Control or Command if you're on a Mac and click on the other layer that you want to select. So we have two layers selected. And then I'm going to group these two layers together by clicking on this little folder icon right here. So now we have a group. There's this little group folder right here. So we have these two layers in one group. And what I can do now is click on the masking tool right here, and I can get rid of parts of these colors. So I can just choose a black color. So there's these little edges that we need to kind of sort out there, so it just doesn't look accurate around there. So I can just kind of erase that out by using the masking tool. So we had those little blue lines just going right over her arm, so it just didn't look right. So we can just kind of get rid of all of those. There we go. So that looks much better now. So I'm just being a bit too picky here, but if you really want to be really accurate with your image, then you can get into those really nitty-gritty details now. So let's open up this group again. And what you can do is you can double click on the solid color layer right here, and you can change the color to whatever you want now. So you can change it to a pink dress. You can change it to like a yellow dress, and so it's not quite coming out yellow. So what you can do is you can decrease the brightness here now, so it comes out a bit more yellow. Or you can also play around with the different effects, like instead of color you can put in hue, which is a completely different effect now. So it's completely up to you how you want this dress to look. So another thing that I want to do, so let me just change it back to like a, I think I like the blue color better, and let's also decrease the contrast a little bit there. So another thing is when we didn't apply this new color, you can see the brick's color was still there. So that orange brick color is still kind of right underneath that dress. But when we added the color, now the brick is just completely blue. So what I want is I want that brick's color to also kind of come out a little bit. So the way you do that is with this masking tool right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Alt, and I'm going to click on this little box right here next to the color fill tool. So you can see this right here. So anything that's white in this, anything that's white is revealed, and anything that's black is hidden. So that's what the masking tool is. But if I also paint something gray, so let me just take a gray paintbrush tool. Let's increase the size a little bit, and I'm just going to paint this gray. So this is just to show you as an example. Now watch what happens. I'm going to press Control and click off the masking layer mask box right here, and you can see there's like this little patch right here. So I've kind of revealed what's behind this layer. So we're going to play with that and reveal what's behind this dress by kind of revealing that color of the brick to come back again. So let me just go back here and paint over this white again. Oops, let me choose a white color. There we go. Let's just paint over that again. and I'm going to click that off, and I'm going to choose, let's just choose like a dark gray. So the darker the gray, the more it reveals, the more it hides, sorry. The lighter the gray, the more it reveals. So I've chosen like a really dark gray. Let's just kind of rub out some of the blue from here. So we're kind of getting rid of, hiding some of the blue and revealing more of the brick behind it. And we can kind of make the brush smaller so we can get into these bits here. And you can hide it and see what it looked like before. So just around here and here we can see the brick. Let's reveal those bits there. Also around here you can see the brick, and just around this edge right here I want it to be quite hard, so I'm going to increase the hardness of the brush to, let's just say, like 91%, and I'm going to get into those hard edges right here. So that might be a bit too hard, but let's decrease the hardness just a little bit. There we go. I think that's better. Let's increase the brush size a little bit. And it's also, I just want to think the hardness is still quite a bit too much. I think that's better there. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit, see what that looks like. Yeah, so now you can kind of see the brick kind of coming out of, coming through that dress a little bit more now. So now you can just play around with the different colors now. You can see maybe like a green dress and you can still see the brick is kind of blending into the dress. So that's how you change colors on Photoshop. So if you have any questions, you can comment down below. And if you have any other video requests about any other techniques on Photoshop, you can comment down below as well. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. But I'll see you in the next video.